Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about the disadvantage of speed and how to correctly balance it to go fast enough but not so fast that you're losing breadth and durability in your, whether it's a business or learning a new skill. So now a lot of people will tell you speed is crucial to starting a business, and speed is crucial to a startup or to learn a new skill to kind of get going into the actions, which is 100% true. However, there's a balance and understanding when to implement speed and when to really take the time and be patient with the process and not grow at an alarming rate. For example, here's an analogy. You say, if you took a tree and you put it in an open field where it can get as much sunlight as possible and there's no other trees covering the shade and there's nothing to kind of block it from grabbing the sun's rays, that tree is going to grow way faster, like 10 times faster than a tree if you plant it in a forest where it's fighting for sunlight and it's covered by other trees. However, when you, let's say, like you harvest that tree and you want to get some timber, that tree is mushy and did not create the right amount of durability needed because it grew so fast. So it didn't have the time to build from the roots and extend its roots and to build a solid foundation of its bark and its trunk. So yes, it may have reached the top quicker, but it also will die quicker, and when it's being used, it's softer material. It's not as hard and it's not as compact and put together. The way you get compact and put together in real life is through experiences and failure. And if you're speeding through these, you don't always, understand the lesson that you learn from a failure instead of just failure. Okay, next thing. Which again, there's a balance here because you do want speed, and speed is critical to growth. But at the same time, the rate of speed is something you should constantly be aware of, and you should always find an understanding of when it should be implemented and when it's not always the best time to implement it. So, some examples of like how speed can hurt is they did a study on songs that hit the top charts. The faster the song got to the top of the charts is the faster it dropped back down. Not only because of just like it's like a fad or a trend, but also they realize the faster they go up, that means it's getting played everywhere and overplayed to the extent where people get sick of it and people stop listening to it. So, for example, if you're building something insanely fast because you're trying to catch a trend or catch a fad, that's usually a telltale sign of you're going fast for the wrong reasons, and it's not in your best interest. Now, maybe if you play it smart, you can build fast, go out, build fast again, and keep going like that. But that's taking lots of risk and not really risk with the scaled reward on the other end of it. So they actually there's a saying where you can tell based off of the speed of what something grows, that's the half-life that it will take for it to die. So if you take, I'm not going to go through the math of that, but it's fairly simple. The importance from that is understanding that, yes, speed is needed, but also the reason you don't want to go fast all the time is to build a breadth of understanding and a breadth of durability within whatever vice you're taking or vehicle to get to the next level. Now, there are obviously exceptions here. Companies like Facebook, ChatGPT, where the demand and the market demand required their speed, and because they were fast, they hit on the need and they immediately exploded, and they were able to manage it. Something that's very difficult with this is when you're a startup, your job is to be the startup and to do everything. Now, when you get bigger, it turns into more managerial roles, into more strategic and forward-thinking roles, into more people roles instead of actual like software, or if you're like a software company or product. Now, not to say that's never going to be part of what you do, but your entire role as a person and a relation to that company is completely like flips on its side. And that's another reason that speed can sometimes be detrimental to your business and to your personal growth, because it'll be such a huge switch and change of responsibility and expertise that a lot of people won't be able to adjust accordingly and therefore die. So if you're listening to this video and you're like, Ali, shut up, I should be going speed, all speed, good. But just keep it in mind that the reason behind what I'm saying is not to tell you to go slow, is to tell you to build the right foundation and to build the breadth of expertise. So instead of trying to go fast, sometimes it's okay to move fast, but move fast horizontally instead of moving fast vertically. So let's say there's a specific skill set you need for a type of business, but you see the need in the market right now. Yes, it's important for you to use speed as an asset and as a tool to get from where you are to the market, but it's also important to use that speed to expand your breadth and understanding of what you're doing. Because the more you have a backbone and the more you have an understanding of what you're doing and who you're doing it for, the more durable and the better you can enter that market with a bigger foundation, but also a more backed idea or product. So when I say backed, I mean backed on the fact that you know people need it and you know you have the solution, versus getting something to the market where it's something that maybe it's the right solution but it's to the wrong people, or maybe it's the right people but the wrong solution. So gaining that insight and gaining that breadth, which oftentimes comes through market research or personal growth and personal development in learning the skills and acquire what's necessary to get to that point, that is what's crucial. Now, again, I can't emphasize this enough. I'm not saying speed is bad, because speed is needed for many things. Speed is needed to grow. But at the same time, keeping in mind, you need to build a foundation, because unless you want to create a 1,000-story, 1-inch wide tower, you need to build and spend the time properly on the foundation and the bare bones and the start of your tower or your building, if we're saying your tower building is your life success. That's why skyscrapers take half the time it takes to take a skyscraper to build a skyscraper is the foundation itself. Now, don't quote me on that. That might not be right, but if you're a skyscraper, it is true. So take that time and be patient with yourself, but also respect yourself enough to build that foundation and not to just jump into like get rich quick, get money, but to really build something great. All right, peace.